Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. On the program this week from USDA on possible payments coming to farmers based on the trade situation. Also, the Kansas City Fed out with their Ag Outlook, and we'll find out what's going on in farm country when it comes to lending. Also, Dan O'Brien from K-State will talk marketing wheat and corn with him, and we'll have updates from the Kansas Soybean Commission as well as the Kansas Department of Agriculture, plus our weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association and Paragon Ag Advisors. You're watching the Kansas Ag Report.
Closed captioning brought to you by Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com. Kansas Livestock Association, supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org.
The big story this past week was the announcement made by Ag Secretary Sonny Perdue on the several actions to be taken to assist farmers in response to trade damage from tariff retaliation. President Trump directed Secretary Perdue to craft a short-term relief strategy to protect agriculture producers while the administration works on free, fair, and reciprocal trade deals to open more markets in the long run to help American farmers compete globally. Specifically, USDA will authorize up to $12 billion in programs, which is in line with the estimated $11 billion of the impact of the retaliatory tariffs on U.S. ag goods. One of the new programs will be called the Market Facilitation Program, authorized under the Commodity Credit Corporation Charter Act and administered by the Farm Service Agency. It will provide payments incrementally to producers of soybeans, sorghum, corn, wheat, cotton, dairy, and hogs. This support will help farmers manage disrupted markets, deal with surplus commodities, and expand and develop new markets at home and abroad. Sign-up will begin in the coming days and will be open for several weeks. Senate Ag Committee Chairman Pat Roberts of Kansas said that trade remains the single best solution to the tough economy in farm country, and he will look closely at the president's assistance proposal, but he hopes that the administration is also working to quickly resolve the tariff situation and restore the export markets that the farmers, ranchers, and growers rely on. Well, the latest Federal Reserve's Agriculture Finance Data Book says lending activity in the ag sector increased slightly in the second quarter of 2018. The overall number of non-real estate farm loans roughly 2% higher than at the same time in 2017. The slight increase was supported primarily by larger loans for livestock. In the short term, the Kansas City Fed says higher livestock prices were likely responsible for the increased size of livestock loans, at least in the short term. But looking long term, the size of livestock loans has been trending higher, suggesting that farm consolidation has contributed to fewer and larger farms with larger lending needs. Increased lending for farming operation comes as the overall risk in the ag sector is increasing. Adjusted for inflation, livestock loans reach a historic high point in the second quarter, while the volume of farm machinery and equipment loans shrank to the lowest second quarter level in 3 years. Expectations of large supplies and trade disputes have contributed to sharp declines in most of the major commodity prices throughout the month of June. Well, stay with us. Up next, our conversation with K-State's Dan O'Brien. You're watching the Kansas Ag Report.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Livestock Association, supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil. and the decision continues improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
We're in Thomas County in Colby at the Northwest Kansas Research Extension Center. Dr. Dan O'Brien, Ag Economist, is joining us now. And a couple things we want to talk about in this first segment. We're just wrapping up with wheat harvest. People are kind of scratching their heads, go, well, what do we do now? Are there opportunities? Have we hit our high for this year?
I think that coming out of harvest now, we've had some news come into the market with worries about adequacy of supplies amongst foreign exporters. And when you crunch those numbers and look at it, at least if the USDA numbers are right, and the USDA numbers can be conservative, and you have to, it's not where they're at, it's where they're going in terms of future reports. But they do show that outside of the US that there's a fair tightening up of supplies available. Now the other side of that is, what are the supplies in the rest of the world? Now the rest of the world, even if you take China out, which is sort of isolated, they have been growing in supplies. So the way I view it is that if we had our exporters all tightening up all at the same time, and also had the rest of the world supplies also tight, well then stand back the next 2 or 3 months, we'll have a strong response. As it is, I think that response will probably be delayed because the world still has a lot of wheat, but when they do work through what they have to work through domestically, eventually 2 or 3 months down the road, then they'll have to come to those exporters, and the exporters don't have as much to work with.
Farmers are making plans towards next year. I know, in the heart of wheat country, southern Kansas, the numbers were still there. As you get further north and further west, those acres shifted some, so wheat acres were down. What about a long-term outlook? Is that something that maybe farmers should take another look at? Because, boy, it just seems like we're not able to even get a price at the cost of production.
We're a lot better off today than we were December of 2017.
Yes,
we're 80 cents a dollar higher. Basis looks good. We're hoping for strong. We've seen strong protein numbers. I think that as they stand and look at what they have in hand, they'll weigh all these crops and look at stronger wheat prices, and it's probably supportive for wheat in the future.
Quickly tell that protein, you brought that up. A lot of reports of some good protein in some areas.
The challenge with protein is this year we've got it, next year we may not have it. So my question is, do we sell the protein now, or we probably will sell some because we need the cash, but if we have the ability on farm to hold some, do we do that and then wait inevitably for the next short protein crop to give higher value to that high protein wheat?
So if Mother Nature doesn't bring us rain, then we may have some. She does, maybe not.
Isn't it a contrary thing? Boy, if it's tough for everything else, protein's great, and likewise on the rain.
We're talking with Dr. Dan O'Brien, K-State Research and Extension. We're in Colby. Stay with us. We'll have more in just a moment.
This segment brought to you by Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. Grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source. AgView.net.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know-to-Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News. A reliable and relevant source, agview.net. Our guest this week is Dr. Dan O'Brien. We're at the Northwest Kansas Research Extension Center in Colby. And Dr. O'Brien, we're going to now focus a little bit on corn. As we look around the countryside from the roads and from the highways, looks like we've got an awful lot of corn. There's some concern of what's going to happen. Are we going to get down to sub $2 corn?
I think whether we have a good corn crop or not in the U.S. depends where you're at. You know, we here in, if you go to Missouri and even northeast Kansas, some other isolated areas, awfully dry, horribly dry. If you go about 100 miles north and northeast or northwest of there, they've had too much moisture. But yet places in between they're looking good. Of course, in central Kansas, southwest Kansas, tough and dry, and whatever rains we've gotten may help some, but still some challenges. So it's a very spotty thing, and we right now in the markets we have kind of the battle of the yield forecasting models going on, if anything, with the early development, we are going to be very dependent on what the temperatures are from here through about the first half of August, and it's really a crop development in the field type of an issue to figure out what the size of the crop will be. Okay, but I think if you assume USDA came up, they raised their corn corn production number of 14.3 billion bushels. The usage is the strong underlying positive here. And so that will lend us some support for prices. And I think, Ken, the longer term issue is with the high soybean prices we're seeing in Brazil, rumors are almost as much as the tariffs would be.
Wow.
You know, the price to get soybeans out of Brazil has gone up that much to almost match the differential. That's an example of how markets work. So anyway, with that price, what will Brazilian farmers do September, October, November for planting? If they slug a whole bunch of acreage, hectares for them, right, off into soybeans, then you see a tightening up of the world outlook for corn supplies, and that's a positive for us in the long term on the corn market.
We do have a lot of unanswered questions waiting for answers, not only the tariff situation, how it affects other countries, decisions on the RFS finally with the new administrator kind of EPA, what's going to happen when it comes to ethanol production. So will we be able to eat through all this corn if it turns out the way they expect?
Well, we've been doing a pretty good job. You know, even with the acreage numbers, a little bit of increase in supply projected by the USDA in that July report, we're looking at ending stocks projected down to 1.5 billion bushels. And you know, in last November, December, we were just hoping we'd get below 2. Well, now we're projecting down to 1.5 stocks to use, close to 10 or below, and you could say, well, gosh, as long as there's not a problem somewhere, then we'll have kind of moderate prices. But any problems or threats, given that much usage and that tight of an outlook, you'll see a pretty volatile market to the upside.
Well, all right. We'll appreciate your insights. Dr. Dan O'Brien, K-State Research and Extension, has joined us. Stay with us. You're watching the Kansas Ag Report.
Spring is sprung, and Premier Farm and Home has what you need to keep your yard crabgrass free throughout the season. With a complete line of pre-emergents, you can stop crabgrass before it starts. Premier Farm and Home, 900 Southwest University Boulevard, or find them on the web at heycow.com.
The Kansas Soybean Association, American Soybean Association, and Corteva Agriscience, the agriculture division of Dow DuPont, are seeking applicants for the Young Leader Program. The two-phase training is for actively farming individuals and couples who are passionate about the possibilities in agriculture. The people who participate in the program will be the leaders who shape the industry's future. Phase 1 will take place in Johnston, Iowa, November 27 through 30. The program continues February 26 through March 2, 2019 in Orlando, Florida, in conjunction with the Commodity Classic Annual Convention and Trade Show. There is no age limit for participation. Farmers must be at least 21 years old and committed to attending both phases of the training. Farmers provide the strongest voice for both agriculture and rural America. The Young Leader Program is developing the next generation of farmer leaders and advocates for U.S. agriculture. KSA, ASA, and Corteva will work together to identify who will represent Kansas as part of this year's program, then serve a 3-year term on the KSA Board of Directors. KSA is accepting online applications until September 14. For more information and to apply, visit kansassoybeans.org/young-leaders on the web.
Technology is rapidly changing the Kansas agriculture industry, and Kansas is home to many ag tech companies that offer unique opportunities to producers and agribusinesses. I'm Russell Plaschke with the Kansas Department of Agriculture, and this summer KDA has partnered with Kansas Water Office, Northwest Kansas Technical College, and the Kansas Ag Research and Technology Association to bring ag technology companies together with producers for the first ever Kansas Ag Tech Expo, which will take place on August 29 from 9 to 4 p.m. at Northwest Kansas Technical College in Goodland, in conjunction with the Kansas Water Tech Farm Field Day. The Ag Tech Expo is an effort to bring new technology into the hands of all levels of producers and showcase the latest agriculture technology products and services. The event will feature vendors from all segments of the agriculture industry, and participants will have the opportunity to hear from updates from the Kansas Water Office, an overview of the technology farm at Northwest Tech, and from producers who have implemented new technologies at different levels in their operations. In the afternoon, activities at the technology farm will allow participants to visit with exhibitors and see some of the technologies in use. The Ag Tech Expo is for all levels of producers, from those who may only be using guidance technology to those who have already implemented things like sensors to determine moisture levels and variable rate seeding and fertilizing. There is no charge to attend the Ag Tech Expo, but we are asking people to register, and participants will be entered into a drawing for door prizes. The day will conclude with a benefit auction hosted by Big Iron, with proceeds going to local FFA programs and the Precision Ag Technology Program at Northwest Tech. For more information on the Ag Tech Expo, go to agriculture.ks.gov/agtechexpo18 or call me, Russell Plaschke, at 785-564-7466.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source, agview.net.
What if U.S. soybean oil were an industry sensation? If end users started asking for it by name? That future is here. The time is now. To meet customer demands, the Soybean Checkoff is investing in varieties that produce oil with increased functionality. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News. A reliable and relevant source, agview.net.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
An overview of USDA's risk management programs for livestock producers will be presented at each of this year's KLA K-State Ranch Management Field Days. AgReview's Amy Roeder and Steve Vollrath, who have more than 50 years of combined experience serving as risk management specialists for the USDA Risk Management Agency, will visit with attendees about the Livestock Risk Protection Program, Livestock Gross Margin Program, and the Rainfall Index Program, which protects against the loss of precipitation in key months of pasture, rangeland, and forage growth. The first field day is August 6th at Nichols Ranch near Medicine Lodge. CJ and Russell Blue will host the field day on the Nichols Ranch, which they lease. Tyler and Cassie Remington of Quinter will host the August 13th field day on their ranch, and the Loma Land and Cattle Company headquarters near Lacine is the site for the August 16th field day. Each of the field days starts with registration at 3 p.m., includes educational and informational sessions, and concludes with dinner at 6:45. The Farm Credit Associations of Kansas and Bayer Animal Health are sponsors of the field days. More details are available by clicking on the Events and Meetings tab at kla.org.
Good morning. I'm Darren Van Vactor with Paragon Ag. President Trump announced a $12 billion aid package to assist producers impacted by the tariffs and trade war. While the announcement came out this week, major details are yet to be released. What we do know is the package is set to begin after Labor Day and includes 3 programs. One is the Market Facilitation Program. It provides incremental payments to soybean, sorghum, corn, wheat, cotton, dairy, and pork producers to help manage disruption in markets, deal with commodity surplus, and expand to new markets. The second is the Food Purchase and Distribution Program, which would purchase affected commodities such as fruits, nuts, rice, beef, pork, and milk for distribution to nutritious programs. The third is the Trade Promotion Program, designed to assist along with the private sector in developing new export markets on behalf of producers. We'll have to digest the news and see if it has any impact on the markets in the weeks to come. As for the grains, wheat harvest is wrapping up and attention will begin to shift towards the fall harvest. Here at home, excessive heat and dry conditions are weighing heavily on fall crop production. However, it's important to keep in mind weather patterns have been different in other parts of the grain belts. Yes, there is assistance coming and it is welcomed. There is production concerns. But you still need to be diligent and take action to lay off risk as the market allows. Regardless of your situation, we'd be happy to help. Give us a call here at Paragon Ag Advisors, 888-452-8751. I'm Darren Van Vactor. Be safe and have a great week.
And that's our show this week. Be social with us online at kansasagreport.net or on Facebook and Twitter. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching the Kansas Ag Report. We'll see you next week.
Closed captioning brought to you by The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. KansasSoybeans.org. Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com. Kansas Livestock Association, supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source. AgView.net.
Spring is sprung, and Premier Farm and Home has what you need to keep your yard crabgrass free throughout the season. With a complete line of pre-emergents, you can stop crabgrass before it starts. Premier Farm and Home, 900 Southwest University Boulevard, or find them on the web at heycow.com.
What if U.S. soybean oil were an industry sensation? If end users started asking for it by name? That future is here. The time is now. To meet customer demands, the Soybean Checkoff is investing in varieties that produce oil with increased functionality. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Spring is sprung, and Premier Farm and Home has what you need to keep your yard crabgrass free throughout the season. With a complete line of pre-emergents, you can stop crabgrass before it starts. Premier Farm and Home, 900 Southwest University Boulevard, or find them on the web at heycow.com.